What's up, family? It's your boy, Master Man, Trap Sports Center, man. I just want to talk to y'all about this Last Dance documentary that everybody been tuning in for the last 5 weeks. You know, we on quarantine right now, so a lot of people ain't got no sports to watch. We ain't got nothing to really watch, period. So ESPN, shout out to ESPN and Netflix for giving us something to watch for the last 5 weeks. It was a hell of a documentary, yo. I enjoyed every bit of it, yo. Like, you know, me every Sunday on the couch just watching, tuning in for every 2 hours. Tuning in 2 hours for every for the episodes or whatever. But it was a dope ass documentary, man. It was a lot of things I didn't know about Jordan. I knew he was a general on that court, but you know he lived such a private life that I didn't know a lot about him off the court. You know, when he beat the Jazz in '98, I was 13 years old, so I caught the tail end of Jordan's career. But you know, just through conversations with my father and my uncles and stuff like that, you know, I knew just a little bit how he was in the '80s. You know, I was a baby, so I didn't know too much, but dude was a dog. Dude was a general, man. He was a different breed, man. He had a different way of leading that a lot of guys couldn't deal with, especially today, you know, in the NBA. And he was a tough guy, man, but he got the job done. You know, 6 championships. You got to give the guys credit. I know a lot of people, you know, got, you know, negative things to say about him. And I got my own, you know, issues with some of the things he did. You know, I respect everything he has done, but when it comes to like, I didn't like his take on the Republicans buy shoes too. Even though he was right about what he said, I feel like, you know, I think he could have spoke up more on social issues, you know, just a little bit more. I understand where he stood because he was just, you know, when he made that comment, like he said, he was just on the bus. It was just talking or whatever. And I don't think Jordan was against his people, although I think he could have did just a tad bit more. You know, he was, like he said, he wasn't an activist. He was just a ball player. And, you know, you can't do nothing but respect that because he was a hell of a ball player. But, you know, I feel he could have been a little more active, you know, on social issues. He could have spoke up or, you know, did a few things for the black community than he did because we support the hell out of him. You know I've been buying Jordan since I was a kid. So, you know, that's the only issue I kind of really had with him throughout the series. I think that I didn't already know about him. I think he could have spoke up just a tad bit more than he did because he's a major figure. You know, he's like the Michael Jackson of sports, man. And, you know, there's some things, man, you could have said, you know, that really would have, you know, inspired the youth a little more than you already did. I mean, you're still an inspiration regardless, but getting back to the documentary, man, there's a lot of things. Like I said, I didn't know the Detroit Pistons rivalry. That was a nasty ass rivalry, and I didn't know them dudes still felt that way about each other after all these years, man. Like, you know, Jordan still got smoked with Isaiah Thomas, man, and the situation about leaving him off the Dream Team. I mean, not letting him participate with the '92 Dream Team. I know that's something that he regrets. I know that's something that Isaiah feel like is a hole in his career that, you know, didn't get, you know, a check mark that he didn't make, you know, and I know he wish, you know, he could have been on there because I think he deserved to be over there. I mean, over John Stockton, over Chris Mullin, Christian Laettner, or any of those guys. He was the second best, like Jordan said, point guard of all time. I mean, you had Magic on there, and he was right behind him, so he definitely should have been on that team. And then with them talking about the battles that they had, the practices were even more competitive than the games. And I could only imagine, man, just if they had like cameras and we could just see those practices, I know I would definitely want to see it. And it's going from that, his battles with, I wouldn't consider it a battle, but his battle with the Blazers, but he had a chip on his shoulder because they was comparing Clyde Drexler to him. And Drexler definitely wasn't in no Jordan league. You know, Jordan was hands down the best two guard ever, you know, and Kobe is definitely right behind him along with Dwayne Wade and a couple more guys. But, you know, he definitely wasn't no comparison. And going on to Barkley was a dog. I know a lot of people give him a lot of shit now because he's a commentator and he's had a bigger career as a, you know, analyst than he did as a basketball player. But don't forget, you know, Barkley was a dog. You know, that was him and Karl Malone was, you know, two of my dad's favorite players. And he was a dog, man. And you can't take nothing away from that guy, man. And like I said, a lot of people give him grief for the way, but he speaks the truth. And I like Charles Barkley and what he does for, on NBA TNT. And all the other battles, like I said, he took 2 years off. I didn't know the story behind what happened with his father. I think that was, pretty, I know that was touching. That caused him to step away from the game for a few years to get himself together. And I hate how the media portrayed him as if, his father passed away or got, murdered over a gambling debt. I know that was some bullshit. And I know he took that to the heart. And that was crazy how they turned their back on him. And learning that and the backstory behind that, these are a lot of things we didn't know, and I was, it was good to get that he put that out there because I know Jordan a very private person. And, everybody like to see those good stories. I mean, that's not a good story, but everybody likes to see, these private stories or whatever that he didn't tell. And, we like to see him and him going off to do baseball and him, coming back. And I don't like how he did GP in there, Gave GP a little more respect because GP was a dog. And he said, how he laughed at the camera, said he had no problem with the glove, and all that. And the glove was a problem. He was a tough defender, one of the best defenders of the 90s, him and Scottie. And MJ himself was a hell of a defender. But the glove, I know, gave him a little trouble. But he said he was, dealing with a lot. It was Father's Day and all that. But it was, like I said, that and his battle with the Jazz and his battle with his own teammates, the situation, his own front office. I mean, Jerry Krause. I mean, I think Jerry got a lot of crap, he got a lot of crap thrown at him, man. I mean, the dude is gone and passed away, so he couldn't really defend himself. But Jerry Reinsdorf, man, I think he kind of, they really didn't, give him some of the blame because he's the owner at the end of the day. Jerry Krause was just the GM. And, the owner makes the last decision on everything. And it was his decision not to pay Pippen, who was definitely underpaid, big time underpaid. He should have, got more than he got a little less than he deserved. And Pippen's a hell of a player, man. And he was hella underpaid. Even though I don't like how they did him, man, they put that part in with Charles Oakley, how they slapped him around and stuff, man, because, Pippen was a dog and they brought the best out of him. But, a lot of people, like I said a lot about Jordan and his leadership ways. I loved it. Dude was a general on and off the court, man. And you got to give him his love, man, because he was a dog. There was nothing like him. Kobe was the closest, but there's nothing like MJ. Even though, like I tell people, LeBron's my favorite player because I like how he is as a person and how he, has brought his homeboys up with him, how he took care of his family, how he reaches out to the community. I just always like LeBron as a person. I kind of relate more to him. But Jordan, man, that dude's a dog. He's still the best player ever. There's, no question about that. And, all the stuff we learned about him, and it was dope, and I had a good time watching it, man. I wish we could have got just even a little bit more to his years as an owner, because there's some things in there, that I would want to see too, man. Him going on his Wizard days and owning the Charlotte Hornets and stuff like that. But, they didn't get to it. And I like how it ended with the Jazz. Karl Malone and Utah Jazz was hell of the opponents. And how he got back at Byron Russell when he talked shit when he was playing baseball. That was... he crossed him over and pushed off, and that was a push off to me, but he said it wasn't, it's all good. But I enjoyed it, man, the last few weeks. I hope everybody else did, man. It was good for TV. So, but I appreciate y'all watching me, man. Y'all comment, like, man, show me some love, man, and Trap Sports Center, we out.